Email instructor. CH16 2 to 4 unit residential income property appraisal. PG15 Form 216. Notes print. Leave a comment. Form 216. Fannie Mae formally required the operating income statement, Form 216, to be completed and submitted with appraisals of 2 to 4 family investment properties. Several years ago, Fannie and Freddie dropped the requirement that this form be utilized. However, it is important to recognize that Fannie Mae guidelines are minimum requirements. Lenders are permitted to establish additional requirements for appraisals, as long as they do not diminish Fannie's requirements. Many lenders still require the use of Form 216 when appraising 2 to 4 family income-producing properties. Therefore, we will address how to complete this form in this course. Fannie Mae's old guidelines stated that the form could be completed by the applicant, borrower, or the appraiser. In real-life appraisal practice, however, the form was completed by the appraiser. In over 40 years of appraisal practice, I never received a completed Form 216 that had been filled out by the borrower. It is important to note that Form 216 is not an appraisal form, it is an underwriting form. The purpose of this form is to assist the underwriter in determining if there will be any income from the projected operation of the property that will be used to help the borrower qualify for the loan. The net operating income, NOI, that is stated on this form should not be used in valuing the property. For example, this form specifically instructs the appraiser not to include income and expenses for owner-occupied units. When estimating NOI that is to be used in developing a market value opinion, an appraiser should use the market rent and expenses for all units, including owner-occupied units. Let's look at this underwriting form beginning on the next page. End of page. Chapter start. 91%. Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH16 2 to 4 unit residential income property appraisal. PG16 operating income statement, Form 216. Notes print. Leave a comment. Operating income statement, Form 216. Again, if you read the general instructions above, it clearly states that the form should be prepared jointly by the applicant, the appraiser, and the lender's underwriter. It also says that the applicant must prepare the current rent schedule and should provide this and previous operating statements for the appraisers to review and make comments. Maybe it's just me, but I have not had that luxury. My lender/clients always expect me to complete the operating income statement. It says further that if the appraiser is retained to complete the form, then the lender must provide the appraiser with all necessary information in the operating statements, plus any other info, such as HOA dues, mortgage insurance premiums, etc. Despite what the form states, that rarely happens. In the first section, you have to enter all the current rents of each unit and provide your opinion of the market rent of each one. You also need to investigate and report who pays each of the utility items, such as gas and electric. End of page. Chapter start. 91%. Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH16 2 to 4 unit residential income property appraisal. PG17 operating income statement, Form 216. Notes print. a detailed presentation of the income and expense items for the next 12 months. If we do it as the appraiser, we enter the information in the left column. Then the underwriter will review the projections and may come to different conclusions and make adjustments to the figures in the right column. End of page. Chapter start. 91%.
So it shows a form, annual income and expense projection for the next 12 months. It says income, do not include income from owner-occupied units, gross annual rent from units to be rented, other income, total, less vacancy / rent loss, effective gross income. On the other side, it says by applicant / appraiser. And then on the other side of that, it's talking about adjustments by lender's underwriter. Expenses, do not include expenses for owner-occupied units, such as electricity, gas, fuel, water, sewer, trash removal, pest control, other taxes or licenses, casual labor. This includes the costs for public area cleaning, snow removal, etc., even though the applicant may not elect to contract for such services. Interior paint / decorating. This includes the costs of contract labor and materials that are required to maintain the interiors of the living units. General repair / maintenance. This includes the cost of contract labor and materials that are required to maintain the public corridors, stairways, roofs, mechanical systems, grounds, etc.
Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH16 2 to 4 unit residential income property appraisal. PG18 operating income statement form 216. Notes print. Leave a comment. Operating income statement form 216. Please note that at the top of the form, it states you should not include any income from owner-occupied units when using this form. Income from owner-occupied units should be considered when valuing the property. Again, this is an underwriting form, and therefore you should follow the instructions on the form and not include income from owner-occupied units. The income section at the top of the form follows the same format we detailed earlier. You start with gross annual rental, add any other income, and subtract the vacancy / rent loss amount to arrive at effective gross income. The expense section included the items we discussed earlier as well. Again, note that you should not deduct any corresponding expenses for owner-occupied units either. Under casual labor, it notes that an item should be included for this expense even though the applicant may not elect to contract for such services. You may have a company would charge to manage the property. Usually, that is figured as a percentage of EGI, perhaps 5% to 7%. Ask some local management companies. The last line calls for a summary of the total replacement reserves from page 2. End of page. Chapter start. 91%. 91%. Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH16 2 to 4 unit residential income property appraisal. PG20 operating income statement, Form 216, page 2. Notes print. Leave a comment. Operating income statement, Form 216, page 2. On the top part of page 2 of the form, we state the individual items that are considered in the replacement reserves. Please read the first paragraph, which details which things should be considered. The first items listed under equipment are all calculated on an age-life basis. For example, if we have 2 ranges that cost $800 to replace and that will last for 10 years, we multiply $800 x 2 equals $1,600. Then we divide that by 10 years and enter an annual replacement reserve of $160 a year. As another example, if there is one furnace that would cost $4,000 to replace and is expected to last for 20 years, we would multiply $4,000 x 1 and then divide by 20 to indicate a reserve of $200 per year.
It says the roof is calculated as one entity. Just take the cost of the roof and divide by the expected life. The carpet cost is figured by square yard. Remember, there are 9 square feet in 1 square yard. Then you take the final total and enter it back on the bottom of page 1.
The first items listed under equipment are all calculated on an age-life basis. For example, if we have 2 ranges that cost $800 to replace and that will last for 10 years, we multiply $800 x 2 equals $1,600. Then we divide that by 10 years and enter an annual replacement reserve of $160 a year. As another example, if there is one furnace that would cost $4,000 to replace and is expected to last for 20 years, we would multiply $4,000 x 1 and then divide by 20 to indicate a reserve of $200 per year. The roof is calculated as one entity. Just take the cost of the roof and divide by its expected life. The carpet cost is figured by the square yard. Remember, there are 9 square feet in a square yard. Then you take the final total and enter it back on the bottom of page 1. End of page. Chapter start. 91%. 91%. Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH16 2 to 4 unit residential income property appraisal. PG21 operating income statement, Form 216, page 2. Notes print. Leave a comment. Operating income statement, Form 216, page 2. The next part of page 2 provides space for the underwriter to reconcile the operating income. The underwriter has to take the operating income and subtract the monthly housing expense for the applicant to ascertain a net cash flow. This is not a task for the appraiser. It is part of the underwriting decision by the lender. The lender wants to make sure that there will be enough left for the applicant to make their mortgage payments from the proceeds of the property. However, it is based on information provided by the appraiser, along with the applicant. End of page. Chapter start. 91%. Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH16 income property appraisal.